Okay, so for this question we have x minus 1 on 3 equals k, and k is 3. What is the value of x? So x minus 1 over 3 equals 3. We can solve for x minus 1 by thinking about what divided by 3 is 3. So the answer is 9. So 9 is equal to x minus 1, or alternatively you do opposite operations, so it's a divide by 3, so you need a times by 3 both sides. And then to get what the value of x is, you go what number minus 1 is 9, the number is 10, or you do opposite operations. To get rid of the minus 1, you plus 1 to both sides. So x is 10. Okay, so for this question it says for I equal to the square root of minus 1, what is the sum of 7 plus 3i plus minus 8 plus 9i? So this is essentially just collecting like terms. So 7 and minus 8 are like terms. Them added together is minus 1, and plus 3i plus 9i is going to be plus 12i. And so the answer is A. On Saturday afternoon, Armand sent M text messages each hour for 5 hours. And Tyrone sent P text messages each hour for 4 hours. Which of the following represents the total number of messages? So if you're unsure, you can do a table of values to get your head around what's happening. So each hour he sends M text messages. So for 1 hour he sent M text messages. For 2 hours he sent another M text messages. For 3 hours he sent another M text messages. And you do it to 5 hours, another M text messages from Armand. So in total there's 5 lots of M, 5 groups of M messages. So for example, if M was 2, 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 10, 5 times 2 is 10. So 5M for Armand. And then if you do the same thing for Tyrone, he's sending P text messages each hour for 4 hours, so it's going to be 4P. So it's 5M plus 4P. Okay, Kathy is a repair technician for a phone company. Each week she receives a batch of phones that needs repairs. The number of phones that she has left to fix at the end of each day can be estimated with equation P equals 108 minus 23 times D. What is the meaning of the value 108? Okay, let's do elimination. Kathy will complete the repairs within 108 days. That is going to be incorrect. If she's done it in 108 days, then 23 times 108 will give you a negative number for P. It's going to be 108 minus 23 times 108. So that one doesn't make sense. Kathy starts each week with 108 phones to fix. That seems much more reasonable. Let's just check again. Kathy repairs phones at a rate of 108 per hour. Well, that just seems ridiculous. Especially if she starts with 108 phones, then what, in 1 hour she's finished? Nope. Kathy repairs phones at a rate of 108 per day. Again, that doesn't make sense. The number of phones is going down depending on the number of days, so that's incorrect. So the answer is B. Okay, which of the following is equivalent to the expression above? So this is just collecting like terms and expanding brackets. So this is like a minus 1 times all of this. So when you expand in, it's minus 1 times this amount, minus 1 times this amount, and minus 1 times this amount. So if I write it out again, it's going to be x squared y minus 3y squared plus 5xy squared, and then the minus minus makes it a plus because it's minus 1 times minus x squared y, so that's plus x squared y, and the minus times the positive gives you the negative, so minus 3xy squared, and the minus times the minus gives you the positive again, positive 3y squared. Now we are collecting like terms, so what are the numbers which are the same? So this x squared y is equivalent or has the same value as this x squared y, so they combine together to give you 2x squared y. Minus 3y squared plus 3y squared cancel, goes to 0, and 5x y squared minus 3xy squared gives you 2x y squared. So the answer is C. Okay, h equals 3 times a plus 28.6. A pediatrician uses the model above to estimate the height of a boy in inches in terms of the boy's age in years between the ages of 2 and 5. Based on the model, what is the estimated increase in inches of a boy's height each year? So you can do this if you understand slope or gradient. So for 0 years, when a is 0, you get 28.6, which is the y-intercept. And then for each increase of 1 year, the height is increased by 3, because this is 3 times 1. So if you did a table of values, h, a, and the value of h. So if a is 0, the height is 28.6. If a is 1, 3 times 1 plus 28.6. So that would give us 31.6. If a is 2, you've added another lot of a, or 3 times 2 is 6, so 28.6 plus 6, or you just add 3 again, 31.6 here, plus 3 is 34.6, okay, and so on. So the increase per year is just going up by 3, and that's what the gradient definition is. Okay, the gradient or the slope is taught as rise on run, or y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. But essentially what it is, it's just the unit rate. For every increase of 1, okay, whatever the unit is, in this case it's years, how much does the height in this case, which is a variable, increase or decrease? Okay, and it's just going up by 3 every year. So visually it would be starting at 28.6, and for every 1 year across you've gone up 3. Rise on run, 3 on 1, and you connect the dots. Okay, so the formula above gives the monthly payment M needed to pay off a loan of P dollars at R% annual interest over N months, which of the following gives P in terms of M, R, and N. So when it says this, P in terms of that just means we're trying to solve for P. So P equals something in terms of M, R, and N. So we're trying to get P by itself. Now, what might be useful here is just recognizing that these expressions are just numbers. So if I just made, this part equal to A, and this part equal to b. And what I notice is that these guys are the same number, and then it's times p on 1. Now, some people might think that they should cancel the b's here, which is incorrect. You can only cancel if it's all multiplication on the top and all multiplication on the bottom. Okay, so if there was a b minus 1 times p over b minus 1, you could cancel, but because there's not, you can't. It has to be all multiplication on the top, all multiplication on the bottom. Okay, so how do I get p by itself? Well, I've got a b minus 1 on the bottom, so it's being divided by b minus 1. So I need to times both sides by b minus 1. You put the brackets there to show that m is multiplying all of this. That is equal to a times b, okay, times p. Now I can divide by a and divide by b as using opposite operations. So if I do that, p is equal to m times b minus 1 over a times b. Okay, and all I did previously was just essentially replace these long expressions with easier things to work with. Now I need to compare, all right? So I need an a times b on the bottom, so I need this times this on the bottom. So this is the only one that seems to work. And then let's just check that it works. So I've got the a times b on the bottom, which I need. I have a b minus 1 on the top, which I need. And then it's got this m to the side here, which is another way of writing times m. Okay, so there's an implied multiplication symbol there. So the answer is b. Okay, if a on b equals 2, what's the value of 4b on a? So one way you could think of this one is about equivalent fractions. A on b equals 2, so that could be written as 2 on 1, which means that a is 2 and b is 1. And you can flip it as well. B on a is going to equal a half. So if you don't quite believe me, let's just check. 10 on 20 is equal to a half, yeah? If I flip it, 20 on 10, does that equal 2 on 1? Yes, they're the same thing. So equivalent fractions are like reversible. So b on a equals a half. And this one here can be thought of as 4 times b on a. So 4 times a half is 2. Okay, how else could we think about this one? The other way we could do it is by rearranging. So if a on b equals 2, you're dividing by b, so to get rid of a division you times both sides by b. So a would equal to 2b, and then looking at the right hand side here, 4b over a, well I know a is 2b, so that's 4b over 2b, which is 4 times b over 2 times b, and because it's all multiplication on the top, all multiplication on the bottom, you can cancel, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. Okay, another way of doing this would be just to make some substitutions. So if a was 10 and b was 5, then 10 divided by 5 does equal 2. And then flipping those is a half, and this is 4 times the flipped version of a half. So that's 2. Okay, so this one is simultaneous equations. where you can use substitution or elimination. And I would say it's probably better to write it out so that they all line up. So minus x plus 2y is minus 19. And then if I call this equation 1 and equation 2, if I add or subtract these guys, at the moment I don't cancel anything, nothing gets eliminated. So I need to change one of these expressions by multiplying everything by the same amount and create an equivalent equation. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of the y's by timesing the entire equation of 2 to be multiplied by 2. Minus 19 times 2 is minus 38. So this is just equation 2, just slightly rewritten. Now I can choose to add or subtract the equations. If I add, it's not going to work, so I need to subtract. So 3 minus minus 2x is 5x, 4y minus 4y is 0, and minus 23 minus minus 38 goes to plus. So that's going to be positive 15, so x is going to equal 3. So the only one that works is B, so you don't even need to check the other ones. Okay, you could also probably do this problem by trial and error. This is the x value, this is the y value, and it has to work for each equation. So if you sub in minus 5 here, you get 3 times minus 5 plus 4 times minus 2 equals minus 23. Is that true or not? So minus 15 minus 8 is minus 23, but you have to also sub it in here. 2 times minus 5 minus minus 2, does that equal minus 19? Minus 10 plus 2 does not equal. So this one doesn't work. And if you sub in this one, it's going to work into both equations. So another way is trial and error. Okay, g of x equals a times x squared plus 24. For the function g defined above, a is a constant and g of 4 equals 8. What is the value of g of minus 4? So what is this saying? It's saying when x equals 4, g of x, or g, the value of g, which is often referred to as like y, g is 8. So 8 equals a times 4 squared plus 24. So 8 equals a times 16, so 16a plus 24. Subtract the 24, both sides will give us minus 16. So the a value is minus 1. Okay, so now we know g of x is actually equal to minus 1 times x squared, so minus x squared plus 24. And now I need to substitute in x is minus 4 into here. So you need to be careful with the negatives. It's minus 4 squared plus 24. So you keep the negative, and then minus 4 times minus 4 is positive 16. You plus 24. And then minus 16 plus 24 goes to positive 8. So the answer is 8. Alternatively, if you've solved for a being minus 1, then essentially, if you know quadratics, this is just a quadratic, which has a negative frowny face shape, and it's shifted up by 24. Shifted up by 24. So it's got something like that, all right? And it's symmetric about the turning point. So if you have x is 4 and you know the y value, it's also going to be the same y value for x is minus 4. So minus 4, 8, it's going to be the same as 4, 8. So that's a different way of doing it. Okay, in the equation above, B and C represent the price per pound in dollars of beef and chicken. So beef costs this, chicken costs this. X weeks after July 1st. Okay, what was the price per pound of beef when it was equal to the price per pound of chicken? So we're saying that when were the prices the same, what value of x gives us that, and once we know that, we can sub it in. So I need to equate the cost of beef and chicken to be the same amount. Okay, we want them to be equal, so 2.35 plus 0.25 times x equals 1.75 plus 0.40 times x. If I solve for x, that gives me the time that they're equal. But once I know x, I can sub it into the equations to find the cost. So what I'm going to do is subtract 0.25x both sides. 2.35 equals 1.75 plus 0.15x. Then I'm going to subtract 1.75 both sides. So that's going to give me 0. 3 minus 7 doesn't work. Bring it over. 13 minus 7 is 6. So that's 60 cents. Probably should have seen that straight away. 60 cents is 0.15 times x. So the value of x has to be 4. 0.15 times 4 gives you 0.6. And now all I have to do is sub it into one of these equations. They're both going to work. So I'm going to sub it into this one because that goes to $1, which makes it easy. So 2.35 plus $1 is this one. So the answer is D. A line in the xy plane passes through the origin and has a slope of 1/7. So the slope or the gradient is 1/7. Which of the following points lies on the line? So through the origin, so that means it goes through 0, 0, okay? Origin has this special O symbol, O for origin, and the slope is 1/7. So for every one across, you are increasing by 1/7. That's what slope is. For one across, how much are you going up or down? The rise on run. Rise on run. 1/7 divided by 1 is 1/7. So you've got this line that does not look like that. This is a very bad diagram. But 0,7 doesn't work. 1,7 doesn't work. 7,7 looks like it will work. If you've gone actually it's going to be a gradient of 1, so that's not going to work. 7,7 says for every 7 across you've gone up 7, so the gradient would be 1. So rise on run, because the point here is 0, 0. So this one is the one that's going to work, D. Let's just check, all right? If the answer is x is 14, y is 2, when you do the gradient, rise on run, of those 2 points, okay, the run is 14, the rise is 2, 2 divided by 14 is 107, so that's it. Okay, so if x is greater than 3, which of the following a, b, c, d is equivalent to this expression? So this is just manipulating fractions. Let's write it like the following. It's 1 divided by all of 1 on x plus 2 plus 1 on x plus 3. So when you have fractions, to add them together, you need a common denominator. So in order to get a common denominator, I need to times this by x plus 3 and this by x plus 3 and this by x plus 2 and this plus times x plus 2. So I'm going to do that. So you get x plus 3 over x plus 2 times x plus 3, and then x plus 2, I like putting brackets in, x plus 2 over x plus 2 times x plus 3. Okay, so that's 1 divided by, now I can combine the numerators because I have a common denominator. So that's x plus 3 plus x plus 2, which is 2x plus 5 over x plus 2 times x plus 3. And then how do you divide fractions? Well, one rule is you copy the first number, you change the division to be as times, and you flip the fraction. So it's 1 times, flipping the fraction is x plus 2, x plus 3 over 2x plus 5. Okay, so it's not this one, it's not this one, it's not this one, must be this one. If you expand the top here, you get x times x is x squared, x times 3 is 3x, plus 2x is 5x, 2 times 3 is 6, over 2x plus 5. So that's it. Okay, so this is an interesting question. I haven't seen one like this for a while. Okay. 3x minus y is 12. So that's a straight line. So minus y would equal minus 3x plus 12. Y would equal positive 3x minus 12. Okay, and then I have an x and a y in here, so I can make a substitution. So 8 to the x over 2 to the y. I can make the substitution of 8 to the x, 2 to the 3x minus 12. Okay, and then this is just from my experience doing problems with indices. I noticed that 8 could be rewritten as 2 to the power of 3, and then that gives me a common base which I can do some cancellation. So for example, 2 to the 4 over 2 squared, you can subtract the indices or you get some cancellation, it goes to 2 squared. So I'm going to manipulate 8 to be 2 cubed, and then I've still got 2 to the power of 3x minus 12 on the bottom. And then using my index laws, when you have a power, you multiply. So this is 2 to the power of 3x over 2 to the 3x minus 12. and then when you have the same base, you can subtract the powers. So this would become 2 to the 3x minus 3x minus 12, and then the 3x's cancel, and the minus times the minus gives you positive 12. So the answer is A. Okay, if a times x plus 2 all times by bx plus 7 is equal to the right hand side, and a plus b equals 8, what are the two possible values for c? So I think what we have to do is expand the left hand side and make it look like the right hand side. So if we do that, ax times bx is abx squared plus 7ax plus 2bx plus 14. All of that equals 15x squared plus cx plus 14. So I can see straight away that 15 is equal to ab, 14 is the same there, and then this is not quite like this, so what I need to do is rewrite that. Take out the common factor of x, that becomes 7a plus 2b. Okay, and now I've got stuff that looks the same. C is this value here. And I've also got the a times b is equal to 15. So what are the factors of 15? They're 1 and 15, or 3 and 5. Okay. So a times b gives me 15, and a plus b has to give me 8. So 1 plus 15 doesn't give me 8, so it looks like to me that a and b have to be 3 and 5. And then what does that mean for the values of c? Well, you know, a could be 3 and b could be 5, or b could be 3 and a could be 5. So there's two possible scenarios here. So if a is 3 from doing this scenario, a is 3 and b is 5, then you get 7 times 3 plus 2 times 5. The value of c is going to be 21 plus 10 is 31 for c. And then if I chose a is 5 instead, you get 7 times 5 plus 2 times 3, which is 35 plus 6, which is 41. So the answer is D. Okay, this is a quadratic equation. T squared minus 4 equals 0. What is the value of t where t is greater than 0? So you can do this in two different ways. You can think about it as a sketch. This is a quadratic shifted down by 4. It's a pretty bad quadratic. Something like that. And where would the two x-intercepts happen? They would happen at 2 or minus 2. Alright. The other way of just doing algebraically, t squared minus 4 equals 0. T squared is equal to 4. t equals plus or minus the square root of 4, but t is greater than 0, so t has to be plus 2. Okay, a summer camp counselor wants to find a length x, and we have the following information. AB is 1800, because it says respectively, it means in the same order. AB is 1800, so as long as I label these correctly, I should be able to get out some information. EB is 1400. BD is 700. And CD is 800. And then it says that AC and DC intersect at B, so there's an intersection there, and they're crossing like that, so it looks like they're vertically opposite, so they're going to be the same angle. And angle AEB, so AEB, this one, angle AEB is the same measure or the same size as angle CDB, so CDB is this one. What is the value of x? So because you've got two angles that are the same, it must mean that the last angle is the same for those two triangles, and it must mean that they're similar triangles. If the interior angles are the same, then these triangles need to be similar triangles. And what we know about similar triangles is that the ratios of the corresponding sides are equal. Another way that you could think of A and C being the same angle as well is if it was extending these lines. Because these and these are equal, it means that these are alternating angles, which means that these are parallel, which means that these angles are alternating angles, which are also equal. Okay, but back to the ratios. So the ratios of the corresponding sides are equal. So I'm trying to solve for x. So I'm going to go big triangle over little triangle and look at the corresponding sides. So x is what I'm trying to solve for. So x is the big length there for that triangle, and I'm going red angle, yellow angle, so the corresponding side is 800 for the little triangle, and then that has to equal the ratio of big over little again, but we need to use the 700 there, so it has to be yellow to black, black to yellow, so it has to be 1400 over 700. Okay, these sort of cancel down a little bit, and 14 divided by 7 is 2, so you have x over 800 equals 2, times it by 800 both sides, x equals 1600, and that's it. Okay, so this equation is simultaneous equations. You have two straight lines, and we're trying to find the x value. So if we're trying to find the x value, I think the quicker way to do it would be to substitute in y into here and then solve for x. Because we're just trying to find x, not x and y. So let's try that. Okay, so I want to know what y is in terms of x. So y equals, subtract x both sides, minus 9 minus x. So if I substitute that into here, get x plus 2 times minus 9 minus x is minus 25. And expanding the brackets, you get 2 times minus 9 is minus 18. 2 times minus x is minus 2x is minus 25. Okay, so you get a minus x there for x minus 2x. And to get rid of this minus 18, we plus 18 to both sides. So if I plus 18 to that, I'm going to get minus 7. And if I divide by minus 1, I get the answer is 7. Okay, let's just do elimination instead of substitution. If I'm trying to solve for x, then let's make this 2x plus 2y is minus 18, and x plus 2y is minus 25. So I'm going to cancel the y's by subtracting these two equations now. So all I did here was multiply everything by 2 to create an equivalent equation. If you do 2x minus x, you get x. These guys cancel. 2y minus 2y is 0. And minus 18 plus 25 is equal to 7. So again, x is 7. Okay, so for this question, we have a right angled triangle, and one angle has angle measured x. So we should remember sine is opposite on a hypotenuse. So if I draw a right angled triangle and I call this angle x, so x degrees, sine of the angle x is opposite on a hypotenuse. So this is 4 and this is 5. That side is opposite the angle, and the hypotenuse is the one opposite the right angle, the 90-degree angle. Now, I'm trying to find cos of 90 degrees minus x. So what I should know is that there's 180 degrees in a triangle. So if this is 90 and this is x, then this angle here has to be 90 minus x. Okay, because if you do x plus 90 minus x, they cancel and you're left with 180 degrees. Okay, so I'm after cos of 90 degrees minus x degrees. So this is the angle now, and the cos is adjacent on a hypotenuse. So cos of 90 degrees minus x degrees is equal to the adjacent over the hypotenuse, which is just again 4 on 5. Okay, so for this video, you need to know about surds and how surds or radicals sort of work. So what you need to know is essentially, root 4 times root 4. Okay, that's 2. What number times itself gives you 4? The answer is 2, and this is also 2, so 2 times 2 is equal to 4. But it also works out that the square root of 16 is 4. So what we might see is that when you do root a times root b, then it's just a times b like that, or equivalent. Yeah, just leave it like that. So it's equal to that. So if we know that property, then we can do this problem. So what does it say? It says a is equal to 5 times root 2. 2a equals this. Okay, so what is 2a going to equal? 2a is going to equal 2 times 5 times root 2. So when you multiply these things, you can only multiply whole numbers together and surds together. So this becomes 10 root 2. Okay, and then this is also equal to root 2 times x. Okay, so I need to change this to be the square root of something. Okay, so this is 10 is the square root of 100. The square root of 100 times the square root of 2 is the same thing. That gives me root 2x. And now, because you know when you have surds, you can multiply them in together. That's root 2 times 100, or root 200, which means I can compare, and the value of x is 100.